Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and I am back with another new pickup review video. I've got a bunch of new stuff that I couldn't fit into their own videos for each of these titles, and so every once in a while you'll see me do these channel updates, Blu-ray collection updates. That's what I'm doing today. I've got 5 different titles to talk about, some really cool stuff that just came in from various studios, and at the end of the video I also want to give my quick thoughts on Joker. A few people asked me about it, and so, my theatrical review videos never really do too well, so I figure I'll just throw it in at the end of this video. If you do like Blu-ray, 4K, movie collecting, home theater type of stuff, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Hello to all the new subscribers. We've had a ton of new subscribers, just crossed 15,000 in the last week, so I appreciate all the love there. And let's just jump right into these titles that I have, starting with one that I'm really happy to get, The Haunting of Hill House. As you know, or as you may know, this is a Netflix special. The Haunting of Hill House was it was a series on Netflix. It came out, I want to say it came out like 6 months ago. It's been a while. It came out in 2018. It might have even come out like at October this time last year, and Netflix just takes a really long time, if they ever actually put titles out, to put them out on physical. But it's cool to see that some of the Netflix shows, at least the more popular ones, are still getting physical media releases. This is the complete series. It also has 3 extended episodes, I guess, and director commentaries, and they're calling it the Extended Director's Cut. Now, I don't know if that's available on Netflix or not. Maybe you guys know, but I actually never watched this, and so this is perfect timing for Halloween, and to get it on a Blu-ray disc, uncompressed, really high quality. I'm super excited about this one, and props to Netflix for putting that out. Also picked up a title here, which is from Paramount, and it's another horror movie. It is Crawl. You may have seen some trailers for this. It's sort of like a home invasion movie, but the invader is, I'm going to get this wrong, whether it's a crocodile or an alligator. Let's see if it says on the back. It's an alligator there in Florida. Basically, a hurricane hits, and this is from Sam Raimi too. He's the producer on it, at least, and the director did the Hills Have Eyes remake. So it's got a lot of action in it, a lot of thrills. I heard some decent stuff, and the cool thing is it also comes with a free 3-month trial of Shudder. And so if you don't know what Shudder is, it's one of the few streaming services that I would actually say is worth it. Because they focus on horror, and they have all kinds of indie horror, low budget stuff, old slasher movies. It's just all horror all the time. It's one service that I actually would recommend for streaming because it's a good niche, and it covers an entire genre regardless of which studios are available. They tend to all put their stuff on Shudder as much as they can. So that's cool. Good timing with October again to get a 3-month subscription, and I just dropped the movie and try out Shudder. Another one that I got, and this is also from Paramount. I think this one went a little under the radar. It's called Night Hunter. The cast has Henry Cavill, Superman, Ben Kingsley, Alexander Daddario, and Stanley Tucci. And it's about basically this police detective, and he teams up with a local vigilante, and they actually end up arresting a serial killer who had been targeting women. And then, it just goes from there. He's playing all kinds of games with them. They're still trying to solve the mystery. It almost felt like a movie like Law Abiding Citizen, where it's like, oh, we captured the guy, but like, oh, once we capture him, now the games start. Now we've got to figure out all this stuff before more people get killed, even though we have the killer. And so it's a cool thriller. Great cast. I'm really surprised it didn't get more attention, but I actually heard decent things. I heard it was okay from a few people who I talked to, and they'd seen it on streaming or whatever. And so, I think it's pretty cool. It has a good cast, and we'll see where it goes. But whenever a movie has a good cast and you don't hear about it, it's usually not a good sign. So we'll see what happens with that one. And then I've got a really cool title here. This came in from Lionsgate, and this is actually a 4K copy. This is Rob Zombie's 3 from Hell. It is now out on 4K and Blu-ray. It had a very brief theatrical run. It may have been in theaters. I think it was like a special event for like a week, and that was it. But it's kind of important now in the horror genre because it's Sid Haig's last movie before he died, unless he filmed something else I don't know about. But he recently passed away. He plays Captain Spaulding in this movie and in Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses. This is a follow-up to all those. Same characters. You got Baby Firefly, Otis Driftwood, Bill Moseley, Sherry Moon Zombie, and Sid Haig, and they're all in this. Is the 4K probably necessary for this? No, but Lionsgate keeps pushing out the 4K titles regardless. And I do appreciate it because, even if the resolution isn't really there and it's like, whatever, you get HDR, which is nice. This does have HDR. It doesn't have a sticker on the front, but it does have HDR on it. And it's actually got a 7.1 Dolby True HD track. So, the movie, I've heard that this is better than House of a Thousand Corpses, not as good as Devil's Rejects, but, I've heard it's still within that same vein of horror movies. If you like that sort of stuff, it's well worth checking out. And so, if you're a 4K fan, might as well grab the 4K, support the movie. Otherwise, the Blu-ray is also available. Also on Blu-ray was Toy Story 4. Now, some of you guys may be saying, why not the 4K? And honestly, with Disney, it's been really hard to get 4K titles lately. I would have loved to review this on 4K, but, they sent me the Blu-ray, and I'm honestly pretty happy to have it. And, I checked it out just quickly. I didn't watch the whole movie, but I gave it a quick review to look at how it looks. And based on the way the Blu-ray looks, I'm sure the 4K is going to be fabulous. I mean, 4K animation, resolution-wise, makes no sense. Nobody's animating in 4K. But the HDR is where there's always an upgrade. And, this Blu-ray disc was very colorful, had some really good eye-popping moments, like all Pixar movies do. And so I'm sure the 4K with HDR is probably a slight upgrade. But, honestly, I'm pretty happy just to have the Blu-ray because Pixar Blu-rays look fantastic. I'm having a harder and harder time justifying upgrading my Pixar and like my Marvel movies to 4K because I just don't see a huge benefit. There's going to be that small uptick in quality and the HDR would be nice, but is it worth $25 to upgrade a copy of I already have on Blu-ray to 4K? In those cases, no, probably not, because they're special effects heavy movies shot in 2K, or they're animated movies like this, which are, finished at 2K. And so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to buy all these 4K Marvel movies that have been coming out and all the 4K Pixar stuff. HDR is cool, but it's not worth $25 when I have a perfectly good copy of it on Blu-ray. But Disney, Pixar, and Marvel fans, obviously, I'm not the biggest one, so they've been buying them like crazy. But that's the reason why you haven't seen a ton of those reviews on my channel. I haven't picked any of them up. That's just the honest truth. I don't think it's really worth it at this point. So that's what I had for titles. Those are the couple new titles, new reviews, stuff you can expect to see in the next couple of weeks from the Blu-ray and 4K market. And now I want to shift really quickly and talk about Joker because, some people asked me on Instagram and I said, I won't do a whole video, but I'll do a quick 2-minute review. I just saw it last night. I was away for the weekend, so I didn't get a chance to see it opening weekend. Obviously, smashing success. Made more money than Justice League made, even though it was an R-rated movie. And so hopefully DC woke up a little bit and said, wow, we don't need to overdo things. If we make a really well-done movie, even if it's rated R, it'll still sell. It'll still make a ton of money. It made more than Justice League, which was supposed to be their flagship. And so, the way this movie sets up, I'm hoping that maybe they can give me an R-rated Batman. I know that this version of the Joker is not going to be in the Robert Pattinson Batman movies coming out. He's not in the universe. It's a standalone film. But I'd love to see a really gritty Batman, like an R-rated, violent Batman, because too many times, and this is another critique on Marvel movies, think about the first Avengers movie. They fight in New York, and they basically destroy half the city. How many people died in that movie? Tens of thousands, if not more. There were buildings collapsing everywhere, buildings getting cut in half, blown up. I mean, it was 9/11 on steroids, but they never mention it, and then they just, we're all set, we beat the bad guy, and we move on. And they briefly get into it like, you guys keep destroying cities, that's not cool. You're killing tens of thousands of people. But it's a minor plot point for a lot of stuff, and they don't actually show the gritty violence of what, these evil supervillains actually achieve. And so it's a much more realistic tone. That's why I like the DC movies better. And show me a Batman where the villain kills a few people, and show me the real violence that makes you really hate that person and wants the hero to do better. But Joker was really good. Joaquin Phoenix, I think, deserves any and every award that he can get. I thought it's a phenomenal performance. He lost a ton of weight, looked like a different person, but just the maniacal descent into madness was awesome. And I really liked the commentary of the movie where they hit on a lot of things that are really important in society today. They hit on mental illness, which is a huge issue, kind of the social system and the support we give for people with mental illness. They hit on the ultra violence, and they hit on the media kind of inciting the violence and promoting it and making it worse. And I'll get into that a little, but basically, the character, super mentally ill, has problems. The social system, the system as a whole has let him down, and they lose funding and he loses his therapist. So bang, that's a real world problem that happens everywhere. Mental health is a real issue, and they're not holding any shots back here. Then what does the character do? He gets very violent. Mentally ill person goes on, kills a few people, right? Now the media takes that and incites the violence, and they keep talking about it in the newspapers and on TV, and they turns into revolt and protests and people going crazy and burning down the city. And if the media had maybe just left it alone or not given so much prominence to the killer in a clown mask like they like to do, maybe we don't have that issue. And it's ironic because the media is the one now complaining about this movie, saying, oh, it's going to inspire people to do bad things, to kill people. There was all this garbage talk about there's gonna be a shooting at the Joker opening. None of that happened. It's the media trying to incite this stuff because it's good for business. Honest to God, CNN is usually upset on the surface, but happy when really bad stuff happens because people tune in and watch for 24 hours and they get their ad dollars. These are the same people who are putting up scoreboards of mass shootings and mass killers and talking about, wow, that was the greatest mass shooting in history. And they're criticizing a movie which is attacking the way that they represent violence in the media and criticizing it because, oh, it's violent and it might inspire somebody. Well, so does plastering their face all over CNN for 24 hours or all over NBC or ABC or Fox News or any of those guys. The whole media as a whole has a problem with that. And so I thought Joker had a really interesting commentary because of the way that the media creates him, basically. The media creates the Joker, allows him to become the symbol that he becomes by the end of the movie, and throughout the movie is inciting violence and riots. And so it's really an interesting kind of criticism on our current media and the way they handle people with mental health and people who commit violent crimes. And so I thought it was a really, really good movie for right now. Like, it's an important movie I think a lot of people should watch. And like I said, Joaquin Phoenix is awesome in it. He really carries the movie. Francis Conroy's in it, Robert De Niro's in it, but they're very minor parts. This movie is a character-focused movie on Joker, on Joaquin Phoenix, on Arthur Fleck. That's what the movie's about. And it's brilliant, and it's so well done. And it's amazing to think that the guy who made the Hangover trilogy directed this movie and got that performance. But Joaquin Phoenix is a master. So overall, I highly recommend it. I think it's earned every bit of praise that it's had. I don't think it'll be overhyped. I was worried. I was saying, oh, I'm going to be overhyped by this. No. Don't expect a Batman movie. Don't expect a superhero movie. Don't expect to see a bunch of special effects and visual effects. It's much closer to something like Taxi Driver, or moments of it reminded me of Christian Bale's performance in The Machinist, and these other movies where people just spiral out of control. That's what you're watching here. You're not watching a supervillain or a superhero origin story. You're watching one man just spiral into madness and eventually become the Joker. So just really interesting, my thoughts on it. But I couldn't believe the amount the media criticized it, and the way even critics were talking about it. And then I realized, oh, it's because they're all hypocrites and they get called out basically in this movie about the way they handle things. So it makes sense now, but don't be afraid to go see it. Definitely see it. It's going to be a great 4K release. It was so well done. The shots were awesome. I can't wait to see the 4K with the HDR. I actually saw it in a Dolby theater at AMC. And so I had the Dolby Vision HDR, and all the Dolby Atmos, the surround sound-based, object-based surround and moving sound and all that stuff. So it was a really good experience. It should make for a great 4K disc. So sorry for that. That ran a little bit longer than I thought it was going to on the Joker review, but that's a quick update on some new titles, my Joker review. And, like I said, if you like this kind of stuff, you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. I'm working on a lot of things in the background. There'll be some great videos coming up here to talk about sort of Halloween and Halloween movies as we get into October. I'm going to do a little horror-themed month, I think, and do a few horror-themed movie reviews and videos and maybe some series rankings. And so stay tuned for those. Subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Instagram. Check out my links down in my description. And as always, have a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon.